Hello, everybody. Welcome to Heads Up Play, episode 26.
26.
26. Good weekend of sports. Maybe not so much if you're an Alabama basketball fan, which we'll get into right now. But real quickly, aside from basketball, how was your weekend, or how
It
has it
was
been so far? We're recording. It's a rare day. We're recording during the day here on this
I
Sunday.
kinda like it. I kinda
I do
like it.
too. I got the light coming in. It's a little bit brighter. Maybe we
That's what
need
I'm
to do this more
saying.
often.
Yeah, we need to, man. Man, it was good. I watched, I'm gonna recommend it for everybody. Dune Part 2. That movie is off the chain. Dude, it is a really good movie. And I'm not trying to exaggerate when I say this. It's probably the best movie I've seen in the last 5 years. Acting-wise,
Really?
graphic-wise. Oh my god. The visual effects is amazing. I mean, it is nonstop 2.5 hours of just action.
I saw the first Dune, and not the original like 1982
Yeah.
Dune, but the first Dune, Dune Part 1, in theaters. And while it was a good movie, but it was kind of hard to grasp like the concept of it if you've
Very
never read the
dialogue
book, or
driven, yes.
very dialogue driven. It's not like it's a space sci-fi type thing, but it's not like Star Wars, right, where there's a bunch of action and stuff. There is a little bit, but it's very mental stuff going on, like with the scene with
The
like the old
Bach,
lady and
yep.
stuff. Um and not to get too into this, but I was blown away in the first one by the visual effects and how they were able to make it literally feel like you were on a different planet almost with in a different time period with all these giant machines and everything. It really was quite impressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing it
I'm
myself.
gonna tell you a spoiler, you ready? Han
Okay.
Solo dies.
No.
The Titanic sinks. Just putting that out there. Just be ready. It's heart-wrenching, but when the ship goes down in the middle of the sand, mm,
So, however, last night, um, we gave our predictions for this week of SEC basketball, and forgive me, I kind of forgot to keep up with our records here.
I'm gonna say
Um,
I went 11-3. That
you
was
went
my
11-3. I'm sure I went about the same because majority of my picks were the same as yours.
the games
Um,
I lost was let me pull it up. I lost Wednesday nights, Vandy beating Arkansas. I lost that one. Shocked by
that
that
one
one.
was out of nowhere,
I lost,
and Arkansas almost beat Kentucky yesterday. So
and out of my two losses, South Carolina won both of those games. I had A&M beating South Carolina on Wednesday, lost that one, and then I had Florida beating South Carolina and lost that one. Those were the only three games that I lost.
I think I had Florida beating South Carolina as well. Um, which Florida kind of choked that one at the end. But to get into the game of the weekend, Alabama and Tennessee battle for first place in the SEC. College game day was there, had a huge crowd, one of the most electric. I really actually don't even think it was that electric of a crowd. It was very packed, and you had some
It was
big names in there, like uh, Justin Thomas was there, Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer, Jalen Milrow.
Milrow, Miss
All these guys
Terry,
were
yeah,
there.
Terry Arnold. I mean, it was just
Yep.
full.
It definitely was packed, and it was a wide out, which Alabama typically in any sport doesn't do stuff like that. So like the wide out kind of stuff. So I was a little surprised at that. Um, the way the game went started off like it was going to be a boat race by Tennessee. I mean, it literally looked like Tennessee was just going to go into Coleman Coliseum and do exactly what they did to Alabama in the first game in Knoxville. But Alabama comes back. That offense heats up, and they win the first half. They go into halftime. I think it was 41 to like
The
38 or
39.
something like
So
that.
it was 41-39, I believe.
41-39. You're right. And I was shocked that we were able to come back and win the
Yes.
half. But I just kind of knew going into the second half that Tennessee wasn't done. I thought Dalton Connect was not done, which shockingly, give Alabama a lot of credit. Dalton Connect was shut
He
down
didn't.
majority of the game. They had a great game plan for him, but the issue with that game plan of constantly putting two men on him left a lot of guys wide open for threes on Tennessee. And if they got the ball, majority of the time they were not missing those threes.
No, Ziegler was unstoppable.
He was
Him and,
unstoppable.
number
Viscovy
20
was going crazy.
25, yes,
Yep.
25. He's
So I mean, all around it seemed like Alabama just did everything that they could do, but there was poor ball protection all around. You couldn't get rebounds. I mean, there were turnovers left and right,
yeah, we had a total of
and
12 turnovers, you're right. I mean,
it just went in Tennessee's favor.
and truth be told, I'm gonna just say it, we couldn't make a shot in the last
No,
few oh
no.
my god, we were
That was the
bricking
most frustrating part.
everything.
I mean, I think once it hit about like the 10 or 12-minute mark left in the second half, I don't know if Alabama made a single field goal. I think all the points from that point forward were from free throws. Like
Now it hurt.
we could not hit a 3 to save our lives, and we couldn't hit anything to save our lives.
No, it hurt us completely losing Grant Nelson. He fouled out early in the second half. You know, you had Pringle kind of step up a little bit. Pringle had 13 points. He had a good game. But listen to these numbers. We went 9 for 37 on threes. You had Mark Sears go 2 for 8. Riley Griffin go 1 for 8. Aaron Estrada go 2 for 8. Stevenson go 1 for. Nelson 1 for 3. And then Crosby 2 for 4. We could not hit a lick at the 3 last night.
No, it's that
And
is
for it to be a
the
home game, yeah.
yeah, that's the game plan that Nate Oates has kind of built this particular Alabama team on. It's like, okay, we're not going to play defense, so let's just try to outscore them. Well, that's great when you're hot and when you're making stuff, but when you're not shooting, you're not winning. You
As the
know,
great words of Katy Perry, "When you're hot, you're hot. When you're cold, and I know you're in and you're out." Well, we're out. Um,
we were always definitely Alabama. It just wasn't Bama's night. I mean, there were some good runs. I mean, Alabama went on a few like 10-0 runs, 12-0 runs, and but they just really couldn't get that much of a lead ahead of Tennessee. It was much like the Auburn game at Neville Arena in the first half. Um, just
it
just
just
couldn't
never
get it
felt like
going.
we was in the game. It never felt like we was in the
No.
game. Let me ask you a question. Is it time to retire the retro jerseys? The time to re I didn't know
Yeah.
nobody knew they were coming back this week.
No.
I feel
I
like you
I th- I think it's time to let him go. I thought it was a cool thing to bring back for like a game, and I do like him. I love that logo, and I think that Kalen DeBoer is kind of bringing
But
that back a little
I don't
bit.
think it needs to be our alternative jersey, like wear it every other while. Like I think we only wear it on special occasions. For instance, when the other day the A&M, I believe it was the 2004 Elite Eight team reunion or something like that. That was good. I think we should only do if we ever have any ceremonies or something like that, or if it's a historic day. But I think they only did it today because of game day and all that stuff. They just wanted more publicity for the sport, of course. But I don't know. So what do you think this means for Alabama now? I mean,
I mean, you have to hope that Tennessee just loses. I mean,
was
that's really what it
they
comes
need
down to.
I'm gonna be honest. I think they're playing for seeding in the tournament now. I think they're out from the
No,
winning
I
their.
agree. And look, Alabama's got another tough game coming up on the road in Gainesville. I mean, you've got Florida coming off of a late loss against South Carolina. They're probably going to be angry. I mean, that's no cakewalk. I mean, Florida kind of gave you the fits already in Tuscaloosa, and now you're going down to Gainesville, which is going to be one of their final real big games to make a run because their last game is Vanderbilt. So this is Florida's last big game. It's their last home game. So I mean, this is tough for Alabama. And when you look at Tennessee, Tennessee's remaining games, now this is tough. If Alabama can win their next two games, they've got Florida and I forgot who the very last game is,
It's
but
Arkansas.
Arkansas. So that's if you can. I mean, that should be a win against Arkansas. If you can pull out a good road victory against Florida, I
You lock
think
up the
that's
two
good.
seed.
You
You
lock
lock
up
up
the
the
2 seed. Tennessee has two tough games on the road at South Carolina and at home against Kentucky. So you got to hope that, I mean, if you're wanting to continue to win the SEC, Tennessee's got to lose both of those games. Alabama's got to win both.
South Carolina have a chance to jump up to the number one seed because right
Yeah, they
now
do.
they're tied at second seed, and as you said, if they can beat Tennessee, then they play at Mississippi State. And let's say if Tennessee loses, you know what I mean? I mean that jumps them up right there.
Yeah, I definitely think so. But I do want to talk real quick.
Oh,
Do you,
wow, I didn't notice this. I'm sorry to cut you off. South Carolina beat Tennessee earlier in the year at
yeah.
Tennessee. So if
Yeah, that
they
was their
can
big
beat
upset.
Tennessee and don't matter what, they hold the tiebreaker. They
And
hold the tie.
this next game against Tennessee is at South Carolina. So, um, that would definitely cause some chaos for
Yeah.
sure. But do you think that Dalton Connect, despite a little bit of a lackluster game against Alabama, do you think he's still locked up SEC Player of the Year?
I don't think so. I mean, I won't say this. I'm not saying this as a Bama homer. It either has to be Mark Sears, Job Room. I hate Job Room so much, but I mean, he's having a good season, or it has to be Dalton Connect. I don't think it needs to be anyone else. I mean, nobody from Kentucky. I truly think it's those players. Who do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think it probably will end up being Connect. I'm sure he'll have a big bounce back game against South Carolina. But you mentioned Janai Broom. Let's look at Auburn. So Auburn's sitting 22-7. I think what are they in the SEC right now?
Let me
Like
get it. I just had it pulled up.
13th.
They
So they've
are Auburn is 11-5 in SEC play.
11-5. So they're pretty much out of it, unless some crazy miracle happens. But they've got Missouri
Missouri,
next and Georgia.
Georgia. So
So
they
I
should
think
win
that
out
they'll win
both
out.
of those games. No, they should win out both of those games.
So
Well, you
when
know,
you look at the SEC, Tennessee is now at the top. Alabama's number 2. South Carolina is 3. And then it's a tie between Kentucky at Auburn at 4, Florida at 5. That's kind of where we're at from now. Then it goes down Mississippi State, LSU, Ole Miss. How do you think, if this is how it stays with the seeding, how do we think that the SEC tournament will go?
um, I'd have to see a bracket in front of me, but I still think Tennessee's going to win it.
I think you're right. I think this is Tennessee's year. They're just built very good on both sides of the ball. They're great defensively, and they can get hot offensively when they need to.
And I
I
love
hate to say it, but
I love
they're a
their
good
head
team.
coach. I like their head coach a lot. I think he's a very good head coach. When they got him back in the, if you remember, there was a big coaching shift in like when Nate Oates got hired, and then when not Avery Bradley, Avery Johnson got hired, and he was in that Avery Johnson class. So
Yeah.
I think when they got him, he was a steal. Well, let me
And
ask you, man. Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
well, I just wanted to mention for Alabama fans, I mean, is it disappointing? Yes, because it was a pretty close loss. Um, but remember, preseason Alabama was ranked what, like 22 or something like that. I mean, we
Yeah,
were not expecting to be in contention for the SEC whatsoever. So, I mean, to be up this high and to be now, I'm sure we're still probably considered to be like a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament. I think that's still kind of a win.
I'm just gonna tell you, man, and I'm not trying to sound like a. It's not our fault. We lost. This wasn't our year. We lost our
No.
number one player in the nation last. Yeah, he was. He was the number one player in college. He was picked number 2 in the NBA draft last year. We lost our another lottery pick last year in Noah Clowney. You lost Charles Bediago. You lost Javon Quinley. You lost Naomi Burnett. You lost a lot of players last year. We had to rebuild. Next year, I'm telling you, it's our year. We have a number. We have the number 6 recruiting class in the United States,
2
telling you,
McDonald's All-Americans coming in, correct?
yes, yes, yes. I'm pulling up the names right now. Darren Reed, small forward. He is the second highest, I believe. Yes, he is the second highest recruit ever coming to Alabama, higher than Brandon Miller, only second behind Colin Sexton. He's a small forward, and then you have power forward, 4-star Aiden Sherrill from California as well. They both play on the same team, actually. He is 6'10".
Hmm.
I'm excited to see that. And then you have Nas Cunningham, also from California, not from the same school, of course. Small forward, 4-star.
I think that says a lot about Nate Oates, and what he can do to bring guys from California. I mean, it's nothing for Alabama to bring in guys from California in football, but I mean, with the
In
lack of
basketball.
history in basketball, I mean,
I
I
definitely
say lack of history, but I mean, that's
I
big.
I owe that to what's his name, Jaden Shackelford. If you remember, he came to Alabama from California, and the left-handed shooter from Alabama, the dude was unstoppable. from 3.
I
He was
love it.
one of those, if he missed, he was gonna miss the whole game, but if he hit one, oh my god, he was gonna be on. Him and John Petty.
And speaking of, missing the whole game, we kinda forgot to mention here, going back to the Tennessee game, Reitzel was out again.
Again,
I think that might have been the difference in the game
I
right there. I
agree.
mean, you're missing his defense and his ability to hit that three-point shot that Alabama just could not hit. That might have been the difference right
Since
there.
he's been gone these last 4 games, you had the Florida game, you had, what was that game last Saturday?
Kentucky.
At Kentucky, you had Ole Miss, and you had, uh, Tennessee yesterday. All 4 of those games, Alabama the games that Alabama has won, they had to come back to win.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely been missed, and maybe he'll be back for the game in Gainesville. But I mean, there's been a little bit more going on aside from this game itself. I mean, I can look at some scores throughout college
We did
basketball
have today,
yesterday.
if we're talking college basketball, Caitlin Clark from Iowa has beat Pete Maravich's record for most points of all time in NCAA history.
That is impressive to say the least. Would you say? I mean, and granted, we're not really experts on women's college basketball, but I mean, you might have to put her at number one of all time in women's college basketball. I know there's some big
Easily,
names, Brittany
easily,
Griner, Sue Bird, whatever. But I
easily.
mean, like she hits scores, man.
And it's one of them things, people say, "Well, man, she's a girl. That I mean, she's got it easier than guys." I'm not going to get in that argument, but when you score that many points, still impressive, say at least.
Right, right. All right, and yesterday there were a couple more upsets. Baylor upset Kansas, 82-74. Um, Creighton beat Marquette, 89-75, taking down
Marquette,
the
it's
number
that time of
5
year when
team.
Marquette gets hot.
It sure is. And Gonzaga kind of fighting here a little bit. A poor start to the season, but Gonzaga now, I mean, I said poor start, but I mean they're 24-6. So, Gonzaga fighting for a good spot in the tournament as well.
I want to say their tournament starts like this week. Their conference tournament, the WCCT, what's that? What's their
I
WCCT
have
they're
no
in?
clue.
Is it the?
It's that small one or whatever.
It's literally either they win it or St. Mary's wins it every
Mm-hmm.
year. But it starts, yeah, I'm trying to look. But man, we're
And
14.
I'd be remiss, and we've yet to mention it on the pod. The Cinderella story, maybe even not so much of a Cinderella story, but the dominance of the South Florida Bulls in the AAC. I mean, they're sitting at number 25 right now, and they are currently 22-5. This
There
is
you
the best
go.
season that they've ever had, and they have been playing really good. I believe one of their only losses is to the UAB Blazers.
You would be Andy Kennedy. I like old Andy Kennedy. I kind of shocked nobody wanted to hire him when he left Ole Miss, but I like Andy Kennedy.
A little bit
Um,
of not a fantastic year for UAB right now. They're 18-10. That's good, but nothing crazy. Maybe they'll sneak something in. And
but
also in Alabama, let's not forget old Bucky McMillan at Samford. What he's doing. He's fighting
yes,
for a spot in the
they
tournament.
got them like as a 13 seed. They got them
Yeah.
kind of high. I like it.
Yeah.
Old Bucky. But
Yes, sir.
we are 14 days away from Selection Sunday, Sam. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that we're this close to the greatest week of college basketball of all time.
What's your, what let me ask you before we kind of get into that. What kind of memories do you have with March Madness, growing up watching it? Obviously, you're making a bracket and stuff like that, but I've got some fond memories with not so much like games themselves, but just, like filling out that bracket. I remember like being in high school and like my history teacher would like put the games on TV like on Friday, when we're not doing anything. And like everybody just gathered around the projector, just watching the games, just following them all.
I remember Doug McDermott ripping my heart out as Creighton beat the Anthony Grant led Alabama with Tony Mitchell, Jamichael Green, Trevor Relaford. Still, I think the greatest Alabama team of all time. But um, I remember. just some games I was watching that like the crazy ones, the Alabama beating Virginia Tech in the first round, going on to the second round to play. Who do we have to go play? Villanova, who eventually went to go win it all. Of course, the Villanova shot. The that whole game was crazy. I mean, last 2 years, 2021, when Alabama played UCLA, still haunts me to this day. The shot by Alex Reeves, crazy, crazy shot. That shot, the UCLA versus Gonzaga. UCLA gets a buzzer off in the Final Four, and Jalen shrugs, dribbles down, shoots a half. Literally, I don't even say it's half court, probably more than half court. Shoots it, bang, backboards it. Um, I'll never forget Michigan. Jordan Poole playing for Michigan shoots the buzzer beat against Houston. Times out. It's just the buzzer beaters. I'll never forget that.
Those are the best moments in March Madness for sure. Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead.
I got one more, and you got to
Okay,
guess which moment it is.
you'll have to help me out here
It's
because
when
I'm trying to look something up.
it's when Bryce Brown looked at Kyle Guy and did the choking symbol,
Oh,
and then Auburn fouled him.
Auburn. I mean, Auburn does that to themselves. They really do. I mean, that's just the story. The story of
My
Auburn.
favorite video is Bruce Pearl, and I see it on Twitter. It's like a commercial they have, and it goes, "Oh no, Katie, Katie." So what you got?
All right, so um, who do you think are some names in the SEC, maybe on the fringe that could make us could seal a spot?
So these are the teams I got that's going to make the tournament. You ready?
Okay.
Spit them off. All right, I got Alabama, I got Auburn, I have Kentucky, I have Tennessee, I have South Carolina, I have Florida, I have Texas A&M, Ole
Hmm.
Miss, and Mississippi State.
I like that. I like that. So
I
that's
ha-
how many?
that is
Uh,
9 teams. One, two,
nine
three,
teams.
four.
Yep. I wouldn't be shocked if any of those get in there. Obviously, some of the fringe ones. You know, Texas A&M,
Ole
Mississippi
Miss
State, Ole Miss. But I mean, I think all of the current teams that are ranked right now in the top 25, Florida, Auburn, Kentucky, South Carolina, Alabama, and Tennessee, all going to get
locked.
in there. And then I think that those names that you mentioned are some good teams that might have a shot as well. I don't think any of them will make it
Let me
past the round of 32, but
let me ask you, since you say that, what do you think their ceilings are for each of these teams? Let's go down the
oh,
list.
well, let me ask you this: aside from Tennessee, what team is most likely to make a run
Kentucky.
to you think Kentucky
I
could
think
be a Final
Kentucky.
Four team?
I think Kentucky can be a
I
Final
think
Four team.
I think Kentucky could. Um, I don't think South Carolina
I
can.
My
I
ceiling, I made a list. You ready? I'm gonna spitfire.
Okay.
I got Alabama Sweet 16. I'm barely pushing that. Auburn Sweet 16, barely pushing that. Kentucky, I have them in Elite Eight. Tennessee Final Four, of course. South Carolina round of 32. Florida round of 32. Texas A&M round of 32. Ole Miss, I think they will be playing in the play-in game, the first to four. I
Okay.
think they'll play that, and then I think Mississippi State loses in the first round. But I definitely think out of all those teams that could push for a Sweet 16 is Florida. Don't be shocked if they end up in the Sweet 16 and Alabama or Auburn does not end up in the Sweet 16.
I like that. I like that for sure. I'm in agreement with you. I think all these teams. It's been such a good year in the SEC. Um, I mean, it's just fun watching when Alabama's obviously as Alabama fans, it's been so fun watching the tournament with Alabama in it, because there's been so many years in the past when we haven't made it. I remember like in the Anthony Grant days being excited that we were like 13 or 14 seed,
Nobody talks
like.
about the greatest run ever in the NIT when we lost to Wichita State in the championship at the Madison Square Garden. God.
But yeah, I think that is it. But college basketball is ramping up, man. It is ramping up. Do you watch much of the SEC tournament?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I live it. I live it.
You live it.
I'm excited, man. I just said a name though that brings back fond memories. Do you remember the Wichita State Shockers?
Yes, I
Those
do.
that team was
And I actually kinda got on something the other day regarding them. It was like I think I saw a YouTube video, and it was like, "What happened to Wichita State?" And it was like, "The downfall of Wichita
John
State."
Marshall. I'm telling you, old John Marshall was the hottest name in college for a minute there. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I thought for a minute there after Anthony Grant, he was going to be Alabama's head coach.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't have surprised me. And look, Anthony Grant's been he's done pretty good at Dayton. Nothing crazy, but he's
Nothing.
been alright.
No, so something I do want to talk about a little bit. It's not college basketball. I saw it on Josh Page show, Late Kick. We both like that show a lot, and he came up with a scenario, and I kind of want to discuss it. What would happen? And I don't want to say this as an Alabama fan, but just as somebody that likes college football and NFL. What would have happened if Nick Saban wouldn't have got the Bama job and Rich Rodriguez would have took it instead of going to Michigan?
We woulda won 9 national championships. I mean, we've talked about it before. That's the greatest. Nick
It
Saban was a
changes
slam dunk
everything.
hire.
It
Rich
changes
Rodriguez would have been, like, a jackpot hire. I'm just saying.
it changes it. I mean, think about it. The Dolphins don't lose a coach. The Saints don't win a championship. Alabama don't win a national championship.
No, yeah, I mean, look, Alabama was probably
Michigan don't go in the shitter with Rich
well,
Rodriguez.
and you look at Rich Rodriguez, he accepted the job and then turned around and said, "Nah, I'm gonna
Nah,
go to West Virginia."
I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay.
Or yeah, yeah. You couldn't even get the West Virginia coach. I mean, Alab it was
And they
out of
wasn't the West
nowhere.
Virginia of the Big 12, the
No,
Big
it was
East.
it was it was Alabama was in a bad,
That
bad,
was the
bad
lowest.
place. Yeah, and when Malmore was somehow able to get Nick Saban, that's when it changed. Everybody knew
When Nick
it's different now.
when Nick Saban found out that he could not get the quarterback that he wanted, that it was the ownership and everything else, when they got Dante Culpepper instead of Drew Brees, over.
Yep. So, all right, what's next on the ticket?
So, man, I know you've been keeping up with it a little bit. Give me a little bit of that college baseball.
Man, college baseball's been pretty fun to watch so far.
What teams have impressed you, and what team has kind of been mediocre?
So Wake Forest is number one right now, and probably rightfully so. Arkansas is looking really, really good in the SEC. LSU has had some struggles. They're not the team that they were last year, but
And
they've still
everybody
got.
knew that. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're losing Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, who are both going to be starting in the MLB this year. Um, Florida, I've actually got their game on right now. They're playing Miami. Florida's struggled a little bit. They've dropped 3 games. Nobody was expecting that. But in the SEC right now, at the top, it's probably Arkansas. Their pitching is just insane with this guy Hagen Smith and a few other guys. I mean, they're just
You've mentioned him.
incredible.
Yeah, is he
Yeah,
the one that plays both sides?
no, that would be Jack Caglione
That's right.
on Florida. He is basically like the Shohei Ohtani. He's actually pitching right now. Um, and he's incredible as well. But and to talk about Caglione for a second, he set the NCAA record last season for most home runs in a single season. 33.
He's already
There's a
at what's he at right now?
he's at like 4 or 5, but there's a guy on Georgia Tech named um what's his name?
He's on pace for like 60 something or something, right? Or 70 or
Yes, his last name is Burris.
I saw that. I saw that.
Um
That's what
so he Georgia Tech has played 9 games. This man's hit 10 home runs. Caglione, the man who broke the NCAA record, has hit like 4.
yeah.
I mean, Drew Burris, yeah, 10 home runs in 9 games. He hit 4 in one game against Georgia Tech the other day, and he's a freshman. And I think that goes to speak about college baseball and how the development is changing in college baseball. So let's talk about that for a second. Baseball is very different compared to say football or basketball. right? You don't have to go to college
No.
to, if you want to be a professional baseball player. That's why there's so many guys drafted straight out of high school. And that's why the draft isn't all that popular because nobody really knows the names.
Really, last year was the only year I remember in recent memory, like top 5 players were besides that Max Clark for the Detroit Tigers,
Hmm.
they were all college players.
Yeah, Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, Wyatt
Wyatt
Langford.
Langford, yep.
Yeah, and so I think there's going to be a little bit of a change here now with the popularity of college baseball. And I mean, I'm watching some of these games and they're packed out, like packed out. I mean, and a lot of major league stadiums in the springtime, while their teams are down in Florida or Arizona for spring training, they're actually hosting a lot of like weekend events for college baseball. And like for example, Houston, the Astros Stadium, Minute Maid Park, hosted like an event, and they had LSU and Texas play each other in their stadium. Well, it was packed out with fans in a major league stadium for college
Golly.
baseball. So I mean, it's growing fast, man. It's crazy. The only thing is, it's just not on TV all the time. But I think as it continues to get more popular, you're going to see less and less people go
For my
straight to the MLB from high school because one, the development is so much better now, and two, with NIL, I mean, guys in the minor leagues in
are
Double
making
A are
less.
making like $35,000 a year. Jack Caglione's probably making three hundred thousand
Paul
dollars.
Skeens took a pay cut going to there.
Yes, yes. So it's like, why would you can go to school, get your education, get a degree in case baseball doesn't work, and make more money than what you would in the minors. And now I bet you going forward, Paul Skeens probably he might even make the opening day roster for the Pirates. He probably spent 2 months in the minors.
Yeah.
So it's like the minor leagues may just dissipate.
So right now, looking at the 2024 mock draft MLB, this is on MLB.com. This was on December 15th, but still, they're not making them this early.
Yeah.
Number one pick, the Guardians, Nick Kurtz from Wake
Mhm.
Forest. Two, JJ Weatherholt, West Virginia. Three, Charlie Condon, Georgia. Four, Jack Colleone from Florida, number four. Five, Oregon State second baseman. Six, North Carolina. Seven, Wake Forest. Eight, Wake Forest. Nine, a high school in Mississippi. 10, Tommy White from Louisiana State,
I
LSU.
mean just 4 years ago, hell, 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, majority of those guys in the top 10 in mock drafts would have been high school guys.
No,
Now
I,
that's 9 out of 10 are college guys.
I'm looking right now. I'm at the 20th pick so far, and I only have three high school picks.
That's crazy. That's just I think the college game is just growing so much and guys are like, "Why
In
would I
the
go?"
first round, there's only seven high school picks. If you
Wow.
you're like me, dude. I mean, I remember those first picks. Everybody's from high school.
And that's going to grow the MLB draft, I think, because the reason that people watch the NFL draft is because they watched all those guys in college and they want to know where they go. Obviously, and they're NFL fans. But I mean, if you're a fan of, let's say, the Braves, and you're also watching some college ball, and you're watching some of these guys come up, like that's the reason I was hyped for Hurston Waldrop of the Braves first pick last year because I was watching him a little bit last year. I didn't know who any of the guys previously drafted, years before were because they were all drafted out of high school.
Well, it's one of those things. They're saying right now at the 10th pick, Tommy White, Tommy Tanks, of course, from LSU, very popular with the fans. Maybe going to the Washington Nationals. If they get him and they already have Dylan Cruz, do you realize how many LSU fans are about to become Washington
Oh
National
my
fans?
gosh. Oh my gosh. I can only imagine. I can
And
only imagine.
it's a smart ploy. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, if you remember the Braves back in the early 2000s, they would only pick players from Georgia. Like they for a
Mhm.
second there, I mean, they were all a lot. The half of the roster it felt like were either from the South or especially from Georgia.
Mhm. Well, and keep in mind there's been I forgot how many years ago they changed it. I want to say it was only like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. Maybe it was even this past year when they changed the draft where the top what is it 5 teams is the draft lottery now.
Yeah,
And if your player wins rookie of the year, am I not mistaken? that you get the first draft pick again?
I don't know that now. Say that again. You saying if your
I
player
heard
wins,
this on MLB Network Radio. So and
it might be
maybe I
true then.
misheard it,
Yeah.
but they were saying if your player wins Rookie of the Year, then you get the first draft pick again. Which
Huh.
that didn't work in 2022. I think now I'm putting it together because I think last year was the first year of the lottery because like we had Michael Harris win Rookie of the Year, but because last year was the first year of that lottery thing, we didn't get the first
Oh,
pick.
okay. I see what you're saying.
But let's say Paul Skeens goes and wins Rookie of the Year for the Pirates. Pirates would get pick number one again.
Oh
Now I
yeah.
could be totally wrong on that, but I think that's how I put it together.
Well, we talked a little bit college baseball now. Let's talk about our favorite team, and I've Atlanta Braves during spring training right now. The biggest concern out of spring training is, of course, who's going to be the fifth starter. And I don't know if you've been keeping up, and I have it pulled up. Nobody wants it apparently. Nobody wants it. So AJ Smith Sharster has pitched a game, and of course, he only threw for 2 innings with a 13.50 ERA. Bryce Elder has thrown 2 games and lost 1 game and is throwing a 10.38 ERA. So, I don't think nobody wants it. So the only one right now I think that's going to get the fifth spot, and I don't want him that because he was signed as a reliever, Renato Lopez,
I
who
think
has
it's going to be
pitched.
Lopez.
He is 1-1 with a 1.80 ERA with 2 games start or 1 game started, 1 game just pitched with 3 strikeouts, 5 innings pitched.
I think it's going to be Reynaldo Lopez because I'm right there with you. Braves for the past few years have just had trouble with that fifth starter spot. I mean, even going back to Ian Anderson, like Mike Fultonevich, like they do good for a little bit, and they're like, man, this guy could be something, and then at a certain point in the season, boom, it just goes down injury, not playing like they did previously. I mean, you just look at Bryce Elder of last year. I mean, pitched fantastic, so over his curve of what we really thought he could pitch, to the point where he was an all-star. Then second half of the season starts up, and people understood his game
Yeah.
and just they saw the ball better. And he just did not pitch well at all in the second half. I do think that it will probably be Reynaldo Lopez, but I don't think it's going to last very long. I think they're probably going to send AJ Smith-Shawver and Hurston Waldrop because I think he'll be
He did. He
a
did.
force.
He pitched yesterday and threw a
Yeah,
scoreless inning.
a scoreless inning, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Actually, two innings, I think, scoreless. I could be wrong on that, but I know it was 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. But he's the number one prospect right now within the Braves, so I would not be surprised if it comes down to Smith Shawver and Hurston Waldrop because I think both of their ceilings are higher than what Bryce Elder can
I'd
bring.
tell you who I want to make the team, and he has been going off. I mean, he's only pitched 2 innings, but when I say lights out, throwing 4 strikeouts,
Carly
no,
Culberson.
no. Oh, wait, he did do that. He just that Ken Giles.
Ken Giles, yeah, yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't put him on an MLB roster. But what are you drinking?
So all right.
What
So
are
I've gotten on a
you-
kick, and you've probably seen me sip it a few times.
Is that a Dr.
So
Thunder? Is that
no, no, no.
a
So all right. So I got to lose a little bit of weight.
I
All
do
right.
too. I do too. I went on a long walk today. I probably go walk after this episode to be honest, just to lose some more weight.
So I said, all right. I don't have that much with my job. I don't have that much time to really work out. I work so much during the day that I don't feel like going and working out. So like,
Yeah.
all right, what can I do with my diet? What can I change with my diet? And so I said, you know what? I got to stop drinking calories.
Oh man.
So, I mean, I turn over like I love a good old Dr. Pepper. So I'll turn like a Dr. Pepper can and I'll say like 140 calories or something like that, or a bottle of Gatorade, 140 calories. And I'm like, do I really need that? And so the last time I went shopping, I got all 0-calorie drinks.
Ugh.
And so this is a 0-calorie soda called Zevia, and it's black cherry. It's made with stevia, which is like an artificial
That
sweetener.
is
It's not bad. It's 0 calories.
I
Zero. This episode of Heads Up Play is brought to you by Zevia.
yeah.
0 calories, 0 fat. I mean, it's zero everything. No caffeine. So it's basically just like drinking. It's like sparkling water, like sparkling flavored water, I guess. It's not bad, but It ain't a Dr. Pepper, that's for
But,
sure.
see, you know me, I don't drink soda a lot. I maybe have, like, once in a while, like, give me one in a while.
Mm.
I That's one thing I hate is, like, diet drinks. I hate diet drinks. Oh god, I think they're the worst thing ever. Like, when my wife drinks, all she drinks is either Coke Zeros or Diet Cokes, and I think there's no flavor. They taste flat.
No, yeah, I'm right there with you, and this is different, like, I'm not gonna say this is, like, fantastic because it's honestly probably like a 5 or 6 out of 10, but it doesn't give you that like, all those diet drinks are made with that aspartame stuff.
Yeah.
This is made with, like, some natural sweetener thing, so it's just a very different taste. It's good, but, whatever. But see, me and not to get it too off topic of sports, but, my fiancée and I love Gatorade. I drink a Gatorade
Makes sense with
all the
her
time.
working the athletic and all that, I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
and so we drink Gatorade all the time, but, I mean, a Gatorade is, like, full of sugar.
and it's
It's like
expensive, and it's
yes,
expensive.
yes. So, I've gone to Gatorade Zero, which honestly doesn't ta it don't taste as good as a Gatorade, but
It don't, but, let's talk about a little bit about NFL Combine. I just wanna bring up one person, what's his name? He ran a 4
Xavier
point
Worthy.
Yes, from Texas. He ran a 4.21, so beats the record of John Ross, so he's a wide receiver, so we that means we have to take him in the first pick, right? I mean, that's what always
Oh, I mean,
happens when you
obviously,
I mean, I'm not
obviously.
we will not say the name that we shall not say, but the wide receiver from the University of Alabama a couple years ago, I mean, yeah, he was good, but he shouldn't have been the first wide receiver picked. Only reason why, because he ran the fastest 40 time of that year at the combine. I feel like some of these teams look at that, they're like, oh, I mean, you're fast, but like you can't catch, you can't run routes, you don't know plays, but you're fast.
I think that 40 time is taken like, way, way, way too seriously, right? Like, I remember watching one God,
This is the only year
it
I
was
didn't
probably
watch the combine. I love watching the
yeah, I
combine.
didn't watch it this year either, but I remember I was a big fan of this guy, and I used to play him on Madden all the time. A guy out of, this had to been, like, 8 years ago. Guy out of
Dre,
Kent State,
Dre
na
Archer.
Dree
Dre
Archer,
Archer.
yeah.
Yes, I know
Guy
exactly what he was going.
that dude
He was
was
a
so
cheat
frick
code. He was a cheat.
yes,
What's that game? Madden Mobile. Madden
yes.
Mobile. He was a
That dude
cheat
was
code.
so fast. So fast. I remember watching him on that 40 time, I forgot what he ran, but, like, he was so fast, man. I mean, I mean, do you hear about Dree Archer anymore? No.
You hear about
Like,
John Ross? No. Do you hear about the
no.
name we don't talk about on this podcast?
Right,
No.
like, what's the difference in it's like a tenth of a second, like, what's the difference there? Come
What do
on,
you
man.
think you could run right now? Or
Like,
okay, you know what? You know what? Peak of your athletic ability. Peak like your best health in
oh,
your life.
probably still not under 5 seconds.
I in high school when I was playing sports and all that, I ran a 5 flat. That was my best.
I was never much of a
I was
I
never
was kinda
fast.
fast. I played, like, outfield in baseball and stuff, so I was, like, kinda fast, but, I mean, I wasn't up there.
5 flat. I always wanted to get the 4.9, but I never could. But yeah, man. That's really all we
That's
got, man. We
that's
got to
about it, look, it's been a slow aside from the basketball this week, it's been a slow sports week.
and I'm
Just well with
excited for our oh, Matt Chapman signed. We got another baseball player to sign until we really Jordan Montgomery. We really don't give a crap about until Blake Snell signs. Just with him being the Cy Young Award winner, everybody. We will have an episode on previews, and then I am so excited for our bracketology, just our bracket show. I'm so excited for.
it's gonna be fun, yeah, we gotta sit down together and, like, actually, like, make them or whatever, or
Right?
maybe not, maybe we just make them separately, go over 'em.
Yeah.
But, alright, question of the day, do you have anything?
I do actually. I feel like it's a good one. If you could bring back one TV show that is canceled or it ran out,
Ooh,
what would it be?
sorry,
They
something
want
is
to
passing
they want to answer the
over.
question.
Um, I would say
Entourage.
Entourage
I love
Suits.
them.
Um, give
Oh
me
yeah.
give me Drake and Josh. I'm a big Drake and Jo
I was expecting like mine is like Sopranos or like I don't know another season of
Breaking Bad.
Fanboy and Chum Chum. I don't know. Like, I want another season of
Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog
Planet
and
Sheen. Planet Sheen.
Planet Sheen.
I would like another season of Camp
My
Lazlo.
my gym partner's a monkey, and
Camp Foster's Imaginary Home for Friends, but I really want another season of Total Drama Island just because I love how real it
How
is.
did Owen do?
I don't know. Cody. I remember
Mm,
as a kid, my parents watched Survivor, and I'd be like, guys, like I don't care about your
this is my
Survivor.
version.
This is my version. My version is 10 times better. They said yours is scripted. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You don't know who's gonna win. You don't know.
I was so into that too. Like it was
Oh, and that
a
first season,
cartoon.
yes, it was just a car, but it was so I don't know what it was. I guess it was our version of Survivor.
I might go watch that
But no,
right as we get off.
I would either do Sopranos or Stranger Things because I like Stranger Things, but it feels like we're never gonna get into another season. Will is gonna be 28. Elle is gonna be a mom in real life. Mike is gonna.
Um, you know me, I'm not much of a show guy. There's actually very few shows that I've really ever
Well,
watched.
let
I'm
me
more
ask
of
you.
a movie guy for
Well, let me
sure.
ask you as a movie guy then, if you could go into a movie that you like, if you could experience watching it for the first time again, what would be that movie?
Hmm.
Wayne's
Uh,
World.
Wayne's World, Shrek 2.
Over the
I would
hedge.
say the most fun movie theater experience I've ever had was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not
That
that
was
that's like it's a fantastic movie in my opinion. It's one of my favorites, but like watching that in a theater and all the like crazy stuff that went down, I would say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or like any Tarantino movie.
3 movies that I've had the craziest experience. One, of course, was Endgame. That was insane. That was I mean, I went on, like, Thursday night. Like, it was that was insane. Spider-Man Coming Home, or No Way Home, when the 3 other Spider-Mans. Then I'll
Tobey
give you another
Maguire
one
and
I'll give you another one. Jordan Peele's Nope. No, not Nope, Us.
Us was a good one.
I
I need to
never left
rewatch
a
that one.
theater just like with a twist at the end. I mean, I was truly like,
I need to rewatch that one. That one was really good. I have not seen Nope. I've heard it's not near as good as
dude,
Us.
Nope is really good, actually. I
Is it?
thought I would go Get Out 1, Nope 2, Us 3, and I love Us. Like, I all of his movies, there's not really one I dislike.
Okay, maybe I'll watch me a Jordan Peele movie or Drake and Josh or Total Drama Island here in 30
I'm
minutes.
gonna go watch Hoodwinked.
You know that movie's banned in a lot of places?
I don't know why. I'm gonna go watch Hoodwinked, and then, I'm feeling romantical, so I'm gonna watch,
Lady
Norbit.
and the Tramp?
I'm gonna watch Norbit.
No, Ted too. All right. All right, guys. I think that does it. Episode number 26 of Heads
26.
Up Play. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything. Everything's right there. And he's pointed out, I'm going to get some merch for you guys. I'm going to get me a nice hat. And
I'm
we're
telling
almost to
you
100
guys.
subscribers. Almost
Almost
to
at 100
100.
subscribers. We have 300 on Instagram right now. Almost to 140 on Twitter. Telling you guys, we're growing. I'm telling you.
Drop in a comment what we should do to celebrate 100 subscribers
I'm about
when
to
we
say
get
we'll do
there.
anything. I'll put honey all over my face. I'll
I'll even
run in town naked.
I'm going to stop the video before I say what I'm going to do.